Hello, I'm McAngus and welcome back to another episode of the Highland League podcast. Today's guest is former Brora Rangers manager Davie Kirkwood. Hope you enjoy this interview.
So, Davey, let's kind of go back to the beginning. What were your kind of earliest memories of playing football?
I would reckon it would go back to the time where I was still at high school.
Yep.
And the team that I played for at that time, well, obviously I played for the school and I played for the Scottish schools, but I also played for a team called Leaving Royals.
Yep.
And it was one of these ones where Leaving Royals were one of the top two teams in Fife. And Kirtland were probably one of the best high schools for football teams as well, because a lot in Fife at that time was rugby as well. But we had a good school team as well for football. So that's and I was lucky enough where my English teacher was the assistant manager at East Fife,
Yeah.
and I was signed up in an S form at 13, so I was at East Fife until I was nearly 19.
Yeah. So how did you find that as a youngster being at East Fife? How did you?
It was a learning curve. I made my debut on my 16th birthday, or just after it. It was against here we go, Bayern Rovers away, and I scored with my first touch of the ball. I came on as a sub.
Yeah.
And then I thought I'd maybe hit a breakthrough. And by God, I was in for a rude awakening where the manager just left me out and left me out and left me out. And then I started making it more regular at the end of that season when I was coming up to 17 years of age. But at that time, there was like Gordon Dury up front,
Yeah.
Kirk, Gordon Marshall in goals. Yeah, he even played alongside Willie Johnson. That's how long ago it was. So
Not that long.
great experiences.
Yeah. So was there ever, I mean, before the kind of Rangers game and stuff, was there ever opportunities to move elsewhere, or were you just focusing on, being at East Fife?
No, I had at 16, I had Rangers on the phone, Man City, Liverpool, Aberdeen. But I was just 16 and I was still at high school.
Yeah.
And I was planning to go to college. So I didn't want to move away. So that sort of fell in its way and everything is knocked back. But I played over 100 games for East Fife before I left. But it was a great experience. But at that time, I took my education very seriously. But then, when Rangers came in when I was 19, I was still at college. And I
Yeah.
was doing my HND. And I left about 2 months before my final exams.
Yeah.
And I should have stayed the 2 months, but I had no option if I wanted to sign. I had to sign on at that time.
Yeah. So you were saying about all the different clubs. I mean, that's quite rare for youngsters to turn it down. Like these days, it's quite easy for to be tempted by that and just,
Yeah.
go down south or just too young and sometimes it just
No. I've got three sisters and they all went to university. And I was the only one that didn't go to university, but I went to college
yeah.
because I had to adapt to my football.
Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't do that if I was away at university.
No.
So I took that very seriously, but I still look back at that time and I just wish I got qualified.
No. So what were you doing at college at that time?
Engineering.
Engineering, yeah. Yeah. So in terms of that game that kind of led to you getting a move to Rangers, what was it like facing against Rangers?
It's always the case, especially in a cup game. It doesn't matter who you play, even if it's the top team in the country. It's always a close game because it was at Bayview.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like the crowd were right on top of you, and it was a full house. And it's one of these ones where you've got nothing to lose. So you just have a go at them, and we took them with penalty kicks, got beat. But from that day on, the Rangers were watching what I was doing and what I've been keeping games. And by the February, March, I'd signed.
Yeah. So how surreal was that? Because I remember reading you were having to get your suit and all that stuff to before you went to sign. How surreal was that whole experience?
But it was a strange one because I was actually at college, and the principal came into the workshop. He said, "Can I speak to him?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "There's journalists out here who want to talk to you." I went, "What for?" He said, "Oh, you're going to be signing for Rangers." I said, "Oh, am I?" Right, okay. And by 6, 7 o'clock at night, I was through at Highbrook signing a contract. And on Friday morning, I had to report because they wanted me to play in the reserves on the Saturday.
Yeah.
I trained in the morning and I had to go and get suits in the afternoon and a haircut. I wasn't allowed long hair. I had to get a short haircut. So that was the time where it was shut and tied to training. So there was no nonsense.
Aye, so what was the experience like meeting Graeme Souness at first and
He was absolutely brilliant. If you respected what he did, he could be harsh at times and what have you, but if you respected it, he respected you back. But if you crossed that line, oh, that was you finished.
yeah, so how did you in that moment when you signed, how did you keep yourself grounded that you didn't get caught up in the kind of, buzz of all, signing for Rangers and
It was just the way I was brought up, and
aye,
it's probably the 5, 6 years I had at East Fife.
yeah,
Playing, even though I was playing for the Scottish national teams and what have you at East Fife, I wasn't treated that way. I was just treated as one of the boys. And if I was out of line then, and I was still young, I'd get a clip about the ears from the
yeah,
players, from the managers,
yeah.
from the backroom staff. So you had no chance of being Billy Big Boots in the days.
Yeah. So, what was your kind of obviously said going in the squad for the reserve? How was that like adjusting to being at Rangers?
It was crazy. At that time, I remember it was like I said, sometimes David Cooper was in the reserves or Robert Fleck. And at that time, the reserves played at the same time as the first team.
Yep.
That was a reverse fixture. And the many good players you played against. I remember playing against Dundee United, and there was Mierdag, Kravokovic, there was Dave Narey, all coming back for injury. And playing with your own players and playing against really good players, it can only make you a better player.
Yeah.
And it brought you up quickly to full time football. I went from part time 2 nights a week straight to full time within 2 days.
Yeah.
And by that time, I think at East Fife I was 11 stone, and by the end of the year, I was 12 stone 4. Just with the full time training and the muscle you put on,
Yeah.
that's what happens.
Yeah. So in terms of being surrounded by all these really, really good players, what was that like? And what did you kind of learn from them?
Oh, you learn loads. The top players that I learned from were Terry Butcher.
Yep.
That was about the will to win.
Yep.
Ray Wilkins, about how you pass the ball and how you receive a ball. And I'll tell you a quick story about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first pre-season, we were playing Queen's Park at Lesser Hamden, and I played him a ball, and I wanted him to switch it, but I played it straight to him, and he just let it through his legs, and they went through and nearly scored. So after the game, I pulled him up. I said, "Look, what are you doing?" He says, "I'm teaching you a lesson." I says, "What?" He says, "What foot should you pass it to if I want to switch it?" I said, "To your left, so you can switch it with your right." He says, "Where did you play it?" He played it straight to me, and he said, "I could do nothing with the ball. I've just taught you a lesson. Play it to
Hmm.
the right foot. Even over 10, 15 yards, you've got to be that accurate."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was one of my first groundings about how accurate you had to be with your short passing. Because if you look at modern day football now, you don't see very rarely long passing.
No.
But
No.
short passing is very, very accurate. And it
Hmm.
was timed into your feet.
Yeah.
And that's what I was taught back then. That was 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah. And also you mentioned about Terry Butcher and like winning mentality and stuff. How did you find that like the demands of, you had to win every game, whether you're playing reserve or playing for the first team?
It wasn't a matter about winning every game. It was about winning every tackle,
Yeah.
every header, every corner kick, every second ball. That's what you were taught at the club.
Yeah.
First and foremost, win the ball because without the ball you can't play. And that was, I always remember that, like so even at free kicks and corner kicks for you, if you didn't get that second ball, you would finally find yourself sitting on the bench because that's how important it was.
Yeah. So do you have any stories of, any funny stories about Graeme Souness during your time?
I
Any
think
kind
that
of
you might have seen a few in the press where they played Hibs and they intentionally hit the boy McCluskey, George McCluskey, with a terrible tackle. You're talking, I think he ripped his thigh right open with a 2-footed challenge, and he got sent off. And there was a 21-man brawl in the middle of the pitch, and the only player not to get there was Alan Roth because he couldn't run that far. And 21 players were booked, and it was a test. This was at the start of his career. It was a test if it had the back of all the players, if all the players would back him up.
Yeah.
That's what he did it for. That bad challenge, it was to see if anybody had his back. But he did that in training as well. If you started to take the piss in training, you soon heard him. You could hear him coming right at the back of you.
Yeah.
He would 2-foot you right up in the air just to say, no, I haven't.
So had you been 2-footed before, you know?
Oh, we've all been 2-footed in that. On a Friday, to rile everybody up on the Saturday, he played Scotland against England. And it wasn't about the football, it was about who won the fight. So that's it. That's how quickly you grew up at Rangers. Stand your ground.
Yeah. So what do you remember about your kind of first experience, you know, playing at Ibrox and, you know, on the pitch? And
well, just after the one, they drew a game up at Aberdeen. Graeme Souness got sent off, and they won the League Cup at Aberdeen, and I was in the squad.
Yeah.
It was the following Saturday, we played St Mirren at Ibrox, and that's when I made my debut in front of 50,000. It was just ironic, it was just one game left, and the whole place was crowded. And I played for the full match against St Mirren. Loved it, honestly. It was meeting the heart and soul of the supporters that were in the bit of the main stand where it was used to be all standing.
Yeah, yeah.
But then obviously changed it to seats. But when that was all standing, it was incredible noise. And it was just going from East Fife when you had 600-700 at the game.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, a few months later, there was 50,000 at the game.
Yeah. So how did you find it getting that first touch of the ball, and, you know, did it just spur you on and just loving it, you know, in terms of?
I think at that level, it wasn't the excitement of playing or anything like that. It's just no letting yourself get put down.
Yeah.
And letting yourself down. So the fans knowing that you're a young player, and at that time you were a Scottish player,
Aye.
they had your back.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was reading up, one of our experience you had was playing in Europe as well. How was that experience for you? You know,
the famous one's Dynamo Kiev.
Yeah.
Over in Dynamo Kiev, we got hammered 1-0. I swear to God, there was 100,000 in the game, and I would reckon there was maybe about 50,000 army personnel because it was an army team. But that team at Dynamo Kiev was basically the Russian national side, who the year before got to the semi-finals of the World Cup. So we got them in the first round of the European Cup. So away from home, they beat us 1-0. Honestly, they hammered us. Took them back to Ibrox, and this is the famous one where Souness brought the pitch in.
Yeah.
So they trained in it the night before, full width. They had two great wingers. Oleg Blocking was one. I can't remember, Vasily Rats was the other one. And they played in the full width and they trained. Next night they came in, it was 20 yards in either side, right to the minimum. And we beat them 2-0 with the two strangest goals I've ever seen in my life. The goalkeeper threw the ball out, hit his defender in the back of the head, landed at Mark Falco's feet, and they rolled it in the net. And then Alan McCoy's with about 15 minutes to go, goes to head of the ball, and it hits the wrong side of his head and goes in the far away corner. So 2-0, beat Dynamo Kiev, move on to the next round. That was a special one. That was the noise that night from an hour before kickoff to an hour after it was unbelievable. Just a wall of noise.
Yeah. So, did you see? Did it feel different being a European night rather than like domestic?
Oh, it's far different.
Yeah, far different.
Because at that time, when we were over in Russia, there was a lot of security problems and everything else because it was Russia.
Yeah, yeah.
This is before it was Ukraine and everything else.
Aye.
So you're strict. You weren't to speak out in your rooms because it could be bugged, all that sort of stuff. Because you were warned by the Home Office. You had to take your own chefs because they cooked their own food. So we had a chef that was from Hamilton, so it was Italian. So that was a lot of pasta and what have you. But they took their own food over, own chefs, and your sleep pattern because it was 8 o'clock at night.
Aye.
And it was at the sink, so you slept in the afternoon, played games. That was the first time I ever seen that because I was only East Fife. You never did that, so totally different.
Yeah, it must have been weird, as a youngster, just even going with a team out in a foreign country at that age.
Yeah, I was 19, but what an experience you got at 19 years of age playing in the European Cup. Not many people get it.
No,
So,
no. So in terms of who were kind of the teammates that you were kind of closest with at Rangers, would you say? Was there any particular people you kind of had a good laugh with or got on with well?
I got on well with Ian Durrant,
Yeah.
Derek Ferguson. Boys about the same age as me.
Yeah.
Just below me was like Gary McSwiggan, John Spencer.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So we were all that sort of the same sort of groups.
Yeah.
So
So did you guys used to hang around a lot then and go out and stuff on the
it was difficult because a lot of games were like Saturday and then Wednesday night, and it was like there was curfews like 3 nights
yeah.
before. So you might have a Saturday if you played on the Saturday and played on the Wednesday. Your only night out really was the Saturday night,
Yeah.
and then it just went bonkers.
Yeah, especially if you won a game or
No, it didn't matter if you won
it
a
didn't
game
ma-
or not. It was just bonkers because it was the only night you could really get out yourself.
Yeah. So were you in digs with all of them or how did
No,
that set up?
uh, my uncle was in the housing department down in the Borders, and he knew a lady in Glasgow who had a top floor of a house, and there was a bathroom, and it was massive. And I got that rented out to me.
Yeah, yeah.
But for the from the February, March, right through to the summer, I stayed in the hotel in Glasgow. But I was glad that I did move out. But I had to move into an area where there was a bus going past
Yeah,
that could
yeah.
take me to the subway, then jump in the subway, then get off at Ibrox, then just walk to training because everything was based at Ibrox.
Aye, yeah. Yeah. So in terms of obviously ended up leaving Rangers, how did you feel about it coming to an end and
It was a chance to go and play regular football
yeah,
because at that time where I just signed a brand new 2-year contract, and then Hearts came in, and Graeme Souness says, "Look, there is a bidding for you." He says, "You've signed a new contract. You can go and fight for a place in our team."
yeah.
He says, "It's no guaranteed." He said, "Nobody's guaranteed a game here." He says, "But there's a chance to go to Hearts." And I went and spoke to Hearts, and within 2 or 3 days, I'd signed for Hearts just because there was a guaranteed to more game time.
Yeah. So how did you find your time at Hearts?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I really did love it. That was Alex McDonald. Some great players there: John Robertson, Eamon Bannon, John Colquhoun, Dave McPherson, Nicky Walker. Uh, you can name Gary Mackay, Walter Kidd. Honestly,
Mhm.
fantastic squad of players. Different in the training because it was a lot of fitness work with Hearts.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't do as much fitness with Rangers. Everything was done with the ball at Rangers.
Mm.
This was totally different, and it was like a Tuesday. You never seen a ball. It was like you had to do those boxing stuff with the speedball
Aye.
just for your arms, and it was sprint training, fitness training. So you would do a double shift on a Tuesday, which I'd never done before because when we were at Rangers, you did do your gym stuff, but you did it in your own time. So
Aye.
it could have been on a Monday, it could have been on a Wednesday. But at Hearts, it was a full day on a Tuesday. If you went on a Monday, you play five-a-sides. Tuesday was you just got absolutely hammered. If it was not on the track at the Meadowbank Stadium,
Yeah, yeah.
running upstairs, or you'd be in the gyms. And that sort of opened my eyes up. It was even like pre-season. Pre-season, you would go to Murder Hill in Gullen,
Yeah.
and you never seen a ball for 2 weeks at Hearts because it was all about fitness.
Mm.
Rangers from day one in pre-season, ball out.
Aye.
It was a Liverpool way. It was way Graeme Souness was made up.
Aye.
Ball out, and within 4 days you're away in a pre-season tour playing games.
Aye.
Hearts was totally different.
Yeah. So how did you find that switch? Did you like it or?
It took me a time to adjust.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even like playing wise, if you were told to man mark somebody, you had to man mark them, no matter where he went in the pitch.
Aye.
I wasn't used to that. I was used to working the Rangers way where it was zonal.
Aye.
Anybody came into your zone, that's who you picked up. At Hearts, it was like if I was playing against Paul McStay and he
Yeah.
went in the back four, I had to follow him. But it drew everybody to position. I was used to being surrounded by my own teammates.
Yeah. That's probably why they were making you do all the fitness so you could
It probably was, yeah.
yeah, so you could run about and stuff. So what were your kind of most enjoyable times at Hearts? Any kind of games or any kind of particular?
I think the Hibs games,
Yeah, how great were they? Just the
honestly,
derbies.
they're just as good as the Old Firm games,
Aye.
if not more intense with the fans. But them, and we played in the UEFA Cup against Bologna and Gornik and all these sort of places, and we were unlucky to go out against Bologna, and it was only because of a mistake. It was Henry. He stepped out the box when he was doing a goal kick.
Yeah.
So the ball was still in his hands and they got a free kick. We were 3-0 up at home, and that was a good score. And they scored straight from the free kick, 3-1. Over in Bologna, they beat us 2-0. Away goals out.
Aye.
That's how close it was. That's when the away goals doubled.
Aye.
So that's the narrow margins of these in the days, and that's coming back to haunt you.
Yeah.
But playing in Europe and the Hibs games, fantastic.
Yeah. Any kind of standout Hibs games that you were a part of that you can
I think it was the first one. We played them at Tynecastle, and we had a sort of Yugoslavian up front. He just signed at the same time as me. For the name of, I can't remember his name. And I crossed the ball for him to score.
Yeah.
And we beat them 1-0. So that sort of stood out a wee bit.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned how you found the Edinburgh derby, it can be more intense. What do you mean by that? Is it just
How do you call it? I remember when I was younger and Rangers Celtic games were on. My family were Rangers fans, but my best man and best friends were Celtic people.
yeah.
And for 90 minutes, you could be shouting and bawling at each other and whatever. But after the game finished, you're having a beer.
Aye.
Hibs Hearts, no, you're not. You're not going to walk into a Hibs bar, or a Hibs person going to walk into a Hearts bar. That's not going to happen in Edinburgh. You could do it in Glasgow, but not in Edinburgh. That's the difference.
That's quite
That's
surprising.
That's the intensity.
That's quite surprising considering what's happened at the weekend and all the madness.
Back then, yes, but like I
Yeah.
said, when we were players, we'd go out on a Saturday night and you meet up with Celtic players in the same place,
Aye.
and all you're doing is socialising with them.
Aye.
But 2 hours earlier, you were battling with them in the pitch. You couldn't do that with Hibs Hearts.
Yeah.
That's the intensity.
Yeah. So after Hearts, you went on to Raith Rovers. So
Okay.
what attracted you to join Raith Rovers?
Well, I was actually at Airdrie before that. I went from Hearts to Airdrie.
Yeah.
And then I got to the end of my contract. Then I started to sign monthly contract. And then I was promised a new contract. I've scored 16 goals before Christmas.
Aye.
Every month they kept saying, "No, we're going to get you in a full-time contract." And I'm going, when? This is 6 months now, and I've still not got a contract. So we're coming up to a Scottish Cup tie in January, and I go down to the chairman's place of work. He was a lawyer.
Yeah.
And on a Friday, I went down, and I did that every month on the Friday, go down to his office and sign the monthly contract. So go down the Friday before the Scottish Cup tie to sign the contract. The secretary said, "Oh, you need to come back at 5 o'clock when he's finished with his meeting." I said, "So you want me to go all the way home to come back and just sign my name on a contract at 5 o'clock?" I said, "No." I said, "Just go and ask for the bit of paper and I'll sign it." And I said, I've got a big game tomorrow. He won't see you till 5 o'clock. I said, "Just tell him I won't be back." And I just walked out, never turned up. And that was me out of the game for 6 months. They wouldn't sell me nothing. And I just cheered them on.
Yeah, how that must have been difficult, you know.
No, because
No.
if that was the way they wanted to treat me,
Hmm.
tough. And it got to the end of the season where Raith Rovers at that time had just missed out in promotion. They sold Peter Henderson to Aberdeen, and Jimmy Nicholl was my coach
Yeah.
at the Rangers. So they did a deal and went to Raith Rovers.
Yeah. So obviously you had a lot of good memories there as well. More European winning
Yeah.
cups. Just how great was that? Obviously you won the was it the Coca-Cola Cup or whatever
Coca-Cola
it was?
Cup at Ibrox,
Yeah,
yeah.
against Celtic. Um how amazing was that and what do you kind of remember about it?
It's one of the ones we had a good side. And had Scott Thompson in goals, Dave Neary, Ian Redford, Stephen McAngus, Jason Dare, Stevie Crawford, Colin Cameron, Gordon DL, Ali Graham. These were good players. Ronnie Coyle. But we knew we were up against it in the final at Celtic. But the thing was, it was at Ibrox because Celtic Park was getting done up
Yeah.
and Hampden couldn't take the game. And because I think Hampden at the time was just getting finished, Celtic were going to move in and the game was played at Ibrox. And it was one of the ones where it sort of inspired because all the staff at Ibrox were behind us because it was just a natural thing, Rangers against Celtic. That it's Raith Rovers, but all the staff knew Gordon Dale, they knew myself
Mm.
because we'd previously been there.
Yeah.
And at that time at Ibrox, staff were there for years and years and years. So you still knew them, but they backed you up. But at the game was Andy Gray. Andy Gray, I played alongside at Rangers.
Yeah.
We were talking to him before the game. He wished us all the best. So, like, speaking to other players, they were up for the game. But we scored in the last minute to take it to extra time. Gordon Dale, a wee diving header. So we knew when we went to penalty kicks, we had cocky guys like your Colin Camerons and they were never going to miss.
Aye.
But we had a really good goalkeeper, Scott Thompson, who was great at penalty kicks. And that's how we won it.
Yeah. Any memories of the celebrations afterwards or
Not much.
no much
Not
at all.
much. But I just remember where everybody was on the bus going back to Kirkcaldy and ended up at the nightclub Jackie O's. And it was just like, this was on the Sunday, but we had a game on the Wednesday. So
Yeah.
we were allowed the one night out. So on the Wednesday, we played Sitman at home, and I think we drew one each. And from that game on to the end of the season, we never lost a game. We never won all the games, but we drew them.
No.
And got promoted in the last game of the season against Partick Thistle at Firhill. And that's how good a season that was.
Yeah, how great was it to, obviously get promoted and win the league? I mean,
It was just it was difficult because at that time where you knew you were going into the UEFA Cup, we just won the League Cup, but there were so many points. I think we were behind Dundee by something like 12 points, even by that time, November. But to go on that run that we did and get promoted in the last game of the season, last kick of the ball, incredible. And it was just wild, absolutely wild.
Yeah, so obviously I mentioned the European and obviously the big one kind of stands out is playing against Bayern Munich. Obviously
Yeah.
you had experience playing Europe before. What
Uh,
what was it like facing against them?
I think the experience told more than the 2 games before it. The 4 games we played a team from Faroe Islands, go to, and their whole team. I think eight of their players were national players. So they were a decent side, but we won 4-0 at home, and we got beat 1-0 away from them. So we went through 4-1.
Aye.
But the next game was against Akranes. They had a lot of Icelandic players in the team, but they've got twins. They had twins playing for them who came from Ajax, and they were unbelievable players. But we won 3-1 at home, and we got beat 1-0 away from home. And I don't know how, it was just like the Dynamo Kiev game. It was just like backs to the wall, that Scott Thompson had the game of his life against Akranes to get us through to play Bayern Munich. And I mean, game of his life. Everything he touched, he saved. It's unbelievable. Never seen it before in my life. How many saves he had to make, and like point blank, stretching, tipping over the bar. Unbelievable.
Yeah, was he? Would you say he's been one of the best goalies you played with, or?
I think for reactions, he's one of the best, but played alongside Chris Woods.
Yeah.
Nicky Walker was excellent. Henry Smith at Hearts. What's his name? Dutch boy that was at Dundee United, came to Raith Rovers. I can't remember his name. He was a good goalkeeper as well. No, I think the basis of any team, you've got to have a keeper. And as we go on, I'll talk about Brora one. He was one of the best I've seen.
Yeah, so you're going on to Bayern Munich as well. So how was that? Obviously, after that outstanding game from, to get through.
They were more worried about us than we were about them. It's one of the fairy tale ones where at that time, Starts Park couldn't take the game. It wasn't big enough.
Aye.
And not to exploit, but to maximise your potential money-wise, they took it to Easter Road. And it was a sellout, what have you. But the team they had, Jesus God, Oliver Kahn, Babel, Christian Ziege, who else? Klinsmann, Papan, Kostadinov, Christian Nerlinger, all German, French, all international players. And obviously they beat us 2-0 at Easter Road. But then we gave them a fright at Bayern Munich, where Danny scores just before half-time, 2-1. And right after half-time, Tony Rougier, honestly, could have put us 2 each on aggregate and just missed it point blank, pull over the bar, and then they went up the park and scored. So that was us out.
Yeah, so what was it like? I mean, you're naming all these players, like everyone will remember these names that you faced. It must be surreal looking back at having said, I faced these players that a lot of people remember or speak about.
But if you play in Europe, you're going to younger people now don't realise the cup competitions that were back in my day.
Aye.
The Cup Winners' Cup, there was the UEFA Cup, and there was the European Cup.
Yeah.
It was all the best teams. European Cup was just league winners only. UEFA Cup was second and third place in the league. And then Cup Winners' Cups were the League Cup or the Scottish Cup. So it was like your top teams. We played Sparta Prague at Airdrie in the Cup Winners' Cup. Sparta Prague were one of the best teams in Europe. But it was in the Cup Winners' Cup. But we only got through there because Rangers had won the title, and we got to the Scottish Cup final.
Yeah,
that's the only reason we got in. But the quality of players then were with the quality teams, and that's how you can the roll off your tongue, because they were household names.
Yeah,
no matter who you played, they were household names.
Yeah. Do you ever? I mean, obviously you played in Europe that many times, like. You must kind of pinch yourself at times because we went through all the different teams and you've played like so many times in Europe that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to.
It's totally different European football.
Aye.
Because when we played, obviously, you're talking about the away goals. You defended more away from home.
Aye.
And then you attacked at home. But nowadays, you can go away from home because it doesn't really matter. It's just like a league game, basically.
Aye.
It's so you learned how to be patient.
Aye.
You knew how to when you counter attacked, and it was more tactical. When you play in your own league, it's not about that. It's about if you played at home, you just went try and win the game. In Europe, it's not about that. It's a lot more technical and a lot more tactical.
Yeah. Do you think back then the Scottish teams in general were just so much better in Europe? Because nowadays they just seem to struggle even against teams that on paper they should kind of beat. But
Yeah, but when I played, your Dundee United were full of internationals.
yeah,
Aberdeen were full of internationals. Celtic were full of internationals. Rangers were. Hearts and Hibs were.
mm,
We had a good league back then.
yeah,
Very, very strong. I don't see that anymore.
mm,
You see Aberdeen struggling a bit.
aye,
You've seen Hearts for years struggle, but now they're starting to come back strong. Hibs did exactly the same.
aye,
United were struggling for years, came back semi-strong. But back then, everybody was strong.
aye,
The St Mirrens, you name them, Hamiltons, anybody on the day could beat you. If you didn't play your best, anybody in the league could beat you. I don't see that anymore.
aye. So in terms of obviously your career came to a sad end in terms of your injury. How did you deal with that, when that all kind of unfolded and
Uh, I recovered from my ACL at the time, and then I had a couple of cartilage problems, and I went back to see the consultant who did my injury, and he was actually a director at Hearts, and I knew him, but he worked at Murrayfield Hospital, which is private, and he was the one that did the operation, and he sat me down and said, "Look, we're just going to have a meeting." He says, "I can fix your knee." He says, "You can play for the next 2 or 3 years." He says, "But I'll tell you, after you finish playing, you'll have a walking stick."
mm,
He says, "Go to the end of the season, finish up, go into coaching." And I was lucky enough, John Brownlee was the under-18s coach at Raith Rovers.
yeah,
Fantastic man, a Hibs man, but he moved on to bigger things because he was a really good coach, and he left the under-18s, and I had just retired. So Domenico came and said, "He fancies the under-18s," and I just jumped at it, and that was my coaching career started straight
yeah,
away. A lot of people don't get that opportunity now,
yeah,
and I was lucky.
yeah. So how did you find the early stages of coaching,
Very difficult because going straight from playing to coaching under-18s, the way the dressing room was run when I was a professional, you couldn't do that to under-18s.
uh,
And I remember my first game. We were playing at home for Raith Rovers, and we were playing Queen's Park, and we got beaten the last minute. And I wasn't too bad, but the boys had played well. So I sat them down in the dressing room, and I counted them, and I'm a player missing. So waited 10 minutes, still no turned up. So I went and looked for him, sitting up in the stand with his mum and his girlfriend having a wee laugh and a joke. So I said, I said, "We're having a team talk, into the dressing room," and I went absolutely ballistic. Just the way he let us down his teammates because he wasn't in the dressing room, blah, blah, blah. Disrespectful. And I went home at night and I thought, me shouting at them is going to do them no good whatsoever. So on the Monday morning, I went in and apologised. I said, "You'll never see me do that again." I said that I was upset because of what he did up in the stand and what have you. It was just disrespectful. I says, "But it doesn't make any difference. You're football players." And from that day on, I never went berserk, ever. Even in the Highland League, at
uh,
Ross City, never. You can make a player, you can have a railway player and dress them down, but still make them feel $1 million. There's ways of doing it. And it's a wee mindset you've got.
aye. There's no point of screaming at them for no purpose. It makes no sense, and it
Players
doesn't.
make mistakes, managers make mistakes,
Aye,
but players know if a manager's not happy.
Aye.
And a manager knows a player's not happy. But the time to do it is not after the game.
Mm.
It's in a wee chat in the air in the training. Blah, blah, blah. That's it. Done.
Yeah. So obviously you had our kind of coaching experiences at kind of Motherwell and Ross County. How were they for you? And
Motherwell's different because at that time, just leaving the under 18s was like James McFadden and players of that ilk. They were, you see the sort of careers that they've had.
yeah,
And behind that was like Mark Reynolds and the type of player then, Paul Quinn. But these boys were all from Glasgow. There's a different mentality down there.
yeah,
There is up at Ross County. But when I came up to Ross County, I filled them up with players that had left Rangers, Celtic, Hearts, and Hibs, and gave them a second chance of full-time football. So they've left full-time football at these big clubs.
aye,
I've kept them at full-time up at Ross County. They're Jason Crooks. Who else? Joe Malin was at Celtic. Danny Moore, Mark Nicholson, good players in the Highland League. And it was one of the ones where they brought on, because of their mentality, they brought on Gary Mackay Stevens, who went to Liverpool. Alex Cooper went to Liverpool.
aye.
Mark Ridgers, who worked with Joe, because Joe was such a good goalkeeper. Mark went down to Hearts. So there was a conveyor belt of young players, but it was the mentality of the Glasgow players who brought it out of these players because they had their back. The Glasgow players how do you call it, knew how to win, knew how to scrap.
Aye.
That taught the locals here how to do exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So how encouraging was it to see that much talent coming through as well as giving our players, a chance to go for it again?
Well, that's your job. But at the end of the day, when you see a coach who takes credit for bringing the player through, it's not one coach that brings a player through. It's a whole set that brings them through. Each player learns from each coach.
Yeah.
Each player learns from different players. It's not just one coach that brings a player through. And at the end of the day, the only person that brings a player through is the player himself.
Aye.
Who's listened to all the good stuff, got rid of all the bad stuff, and that's how you become a good player.
Yeah. So when you were at Ross County, was there any kind of players at that time that you were surprised for how well they did, or not at all, or were you kind of
As in the first team or young players?
kind of young players? Because
I've named a few there. You had Joe Malin, Mark Nicholson, who went Elgin is now at Brora.
Oh yeah.
Danny Moore, who's got his own gymnasium franchise. But he played at Nairn and Elgin. Who else? Gary Mackay Stevens. Who else? Jason Crooks, who came from Rangers. He scored the winning penalty kick down in the St Johnstone for the Challenge Cup.
Oh yeah.
Scored the winning penalty kick. Again, Alex Cooper. Matt Ridgers was back up to Joe Malin. So these players all moved on, but they're decent careers. And that was a good thing to see.
Yeah. So how did the kind of move come about to Wick?
Well, it happened where the club was struggling, Ross County at the time, money-wise. In the middle, like I was in full-time staff. We had a lot of other people, and it came to start where it was cost-cutting. But honestly, I left on the morning, and by about 1 o'clock, I had phone calls from Wick. And I'm saying to them, look, I'm just left the job. I said, I'm going on holiday next week. I said, I don't want to speak to anybody. I said, I'll make a decision when I come back. But they were so adamant. I met up with them 2 nights later at a hotel in Golspie. And they were telling me how they played like Liverpool and blah, blah, blah. No, they played like Arsenal. It was Arsenal, they said. I said, aye, but Arsenal don't win anything. I said, why can't they be play like Arsenal, but be winners like Man United. Oh, we never thought of that. Right, okay. I said, I'll tell you what, when I come back for holiday, I'll come and join you. So I went away 2 weeks holiday, came back, started off at Wick, and I had the most horrendous start ever. And I'm thinking, what the hell have I got myself into? They played Hallkirk in the North of Scotland Cup, got beat. Played Lossiemouth away in the first game of the season, got stuffed. And I'm thinking to myself, we played great football and we've lost 2 games. I'm in the wrong place here. And it was Colin Stewart, the chairman, he says, look, he says, we've been losing games left, right, and centre for the last 2 or 3 years. Just give it time. At that time, the players, I didn't realise at the time, when I took them over, all the players played summer football. So when we started the season, and I'm thinking to myself, they're knackered. They've just played the whole summer with all their teams and come to pre-season training, and we start the games, and they're shattered. But as the season went on, we got stronger and stronger. We ended up 7th in the league, but we qualified for the one of the cups because we were the only qualified club with a licence.
Oh, yeah.
So we played East Fife, which again was one of my old teams where I started off, and we got beat 1-0 up at Wick. And the next season we started up absolutely brilliant. We played Spartans in the Scottish Cup, beat them down there, and then the whole Brora thing broke out. Andy was in charge of Brora at the start of the season, and then obviously I got a phone call from Ben, can I meet you, blah, blah, blah. And on the Friday, we did the deal. And on the Saturday, I went to watch them against Lossiemouth at Lossie. Craig Campbell got sent off after 15 minutes, but they ended up drawing the game. And that's when I took over. And it was, at that time, it was a bit of an eye-opener. When you look at the squad, there was 25 players in the books, but there's only 11 spaces, and I'm thinking to myself, this is far too much. So my first few weeks, I was shredding it. I was getting players to Clark and releasing players because they were never going to get a game, and I didn't want them to hang on or be dead wood.
Aye.
So moved them on, and within about 6-7 weeks, I got ready 10 players and got to 15. But then I started to bring the young players in as backup. So we had 14, 15 senior players, but not the ones I wanted because they were still at the club. I hadn't signed anybody yet.
Yeah.
But I brought in young players like Harry Richardson, James Ross, Ben Bruce, Colin McLean, Martin McLean's brother.
Aye.
But they were all young players at under 18 level. And that's the way we went to the end of the season. But I'll tell you one story. We bought Xander. Xander was the first signing. Brora had bids a ridiculous amount of money at the start of the season for him, and Bucky wouldn't sell. So Ben said, he says, I need to go back in January and buy him. I said, but you'll get him at a fraction of the price at January, Ben. How's that? I said, he's only got 4 months left in his contract. Just offer him this. Oh, that's a bit embarrassing. I said, just offer it. I'm going for it. But then when I went back, I sold a player to Clark and got the same money back. That's business, Ben. That's how you got to do it. So that's how we got off. And then the next summer, started to getting the players that we really wanted. But at that time, still there was, and just signed, was Stephen Mackay, wee Andy Gregg, David Hines, Dale Gillespie, Richie Hart. So there was a great core. Just putting that jigsaw together, bringing in Gavin Morrison, bringing in Scotty Graham, bringing in Scotty Houston, different Ross Tokley, Grant Monroe. Players just come to the end of their career, but gave us a different meaning of the game because of their professionalism. That was the work. And we only ran with 14 senior players, and the rest were young players. That was for the 2.5 years I was there.
Yeah. So how important was getting like a mix of, your kind of Ross Tokleys and the kind of younger players that you had as well?
Ross Tokley and Grant Monroe were fantastic, the young players, because they took them aside at training before games and told what was expected of them about about not hiding or anything like that, how to play the game. That experience you can't buy.
Yeah.
That rubs off on everybody. And it was an easy one for me in the dressing room. I didn't have to say much in dressing rooms. Sort of do it themselves.
Yeah, yeah. So it
And
made your job a bit easier at certain times.
at all times,
Not all the times, yeah.
yeah, training was always at high intensity because we knew that I didn't want to go down the route of one night of the week was just fitness work.
Aye.
Everything had to be with the ball. So what we did, we intensified it for 2 hours on a Tuesday night, and we took practically any breaks, and the same on a Thursday. And that was our work, and it was all football. It had to be high intensity.
Aye. So
And
what was the kind of moment that you thought, that my Brora team can win the league? What was the kind of, was it at the start of the season, or was there a certain, you know?
once we got the players that we wanted, we knew we'd be challenged.
Yeah.
We had a bad start. I didn't take over at the start of the season. I took over in, I think it was the middle of September. And I think they maybe had won one game or something like that. But we ended up with 55 or 57 points. We won 17 games. And you can see the improvement in the belief. And once we got these sort of characters in who you would go into the trenches with,
Yeah.
having Morrisons and what have you, your Zanders, Scotty Houston, to me, pound for pound, and we got him for nothing.
Aye.
The best players we ever got.
Mm.
He came from Och, he played Highland Dam, and that's all he played. Mark McLean came from Back FC over Nottingham. Nobody ever heard of him. What a player he turned out to be.
Mm.
That's the way it should have been. They were absolutely brilliant, honestly.
So how great was that, like, first season that you won the first ever Highland League title? Because every single game that I recall going, it seemed like it was just like our opposition was just terrified, all out attack, just like it was just like every time you went forward, it seemed like you were going to score.
Yeah, that's the way we trained.
Yeah.
We knew we could overpower teams. If people sat back, we were just going to be relentless.
Yeah.
If you opened up and tried to attack us, even better.
Mm.
Because with Xander, who had pace on the right hand side, left footed, and Chubbs, who had unbelievable pace, played on the left hand side. Stephen Mackay just had to patrol the middle 18-yard box, score 50 goals a season. Simple. And most of the time when we played, we just leave the three up. But you imagine a Chubbs, if their fullback tried to break forward and Chubbs was left with a centre back, who's going to win that race?
Mm.
If Xander was left with a centre back, who's going to win that race? And that's the way we played, where the other players knew would be outnumbered. If they had the ball, our midfield and defenders knew they've got to be outnumbered, but they were that good at defending. Once they won that ball, they found Xander, they found Stephen Mackay, they found Andy Gregg, and just backed them up.
Yeah, because I still remember seeing Ross Tokley running down the wing and whipping in the balls and stuff like that, which is just
Yeah, you've got to give players freedom to go and play.
Yeah.
See if you're strict. I'll take you back to the Ross County days. Danny Moore, who was a great left back, we were playing an under 18 game, one of my first games with under 18s, and he refused to go over the 18-yard line. So I pulled him at half time. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "We're in the attack, and you're stopping the halfway line." When we played in the youth, the coach wouldn't allow me over the halfway line in case we lost a goal. I said, "I'll tell you what, see if you don't get over the 18-yard line in the second half, you'll not be playing for me ever again." And he just turned into a left winger. You know what I mean? So you've got to have one of these ones where freedom, if you see space and you have to go, go. It's your job to. I said, I can't be your eyes. You've got to be your own eyes. Go and do it.
Mm.
So
yeah. So in terms of lifting that first league, how great was that? That everything kind of has came together, in terms of the project and getting that first league out?
I think what set us up for that league the first year, Rangers were up in pre-season and they were up for the 3 or 4 days. This is when they were in administration.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously I played alongside Alan McCoy. He was the manager, up for 4 days, blah, blah, blah. We picked up the course. And I remember the first one where it was a roasting hot day. It was on a Sunday. And the place was full and they were selling scarves and what have you. But we drew one each. And I think that sort of cemented our place to start the season.
Yeah.
And it just carried on and carried on. And then we made a couple of adjustments at the end of that season and we went on even further. So it was just hand in hand with each other. And Rangers came up the year after that again and helped it again. So it was great. But when they were up, they came. I think Rangers went down and played Bucky. They sort of did a wee tour of the Highlands.
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't just play us; they played 2 or 3 games. So it was great for the Highland League.
Yeah, so at that time when you first year, how did you find like competing against the other teams, our kind of big teams, obviously you kind of in the end it was quite convincing the league, but how did you find your kind of because near like your low like near and teams like that would have been up there?
No, but you had Cove at that time, Bucky, Devon Vale were a good side at the time. Who else? Martin were just new at the time. But we had so much belief. We knew that if we played, we weren't going to get beat.
Yeah.
But that was in every single player. Even if they went a goal down, they knew game last 90 minutes or 90 plus. They knew they were going to get opportunities. And they said, just bide your time and it will come. And it does. And I've got the stats in front of me. I wrote them down today.
Yeah.
The 13-14 season, 31 games won, drawn 2, losing 1, goals for 123 against 16, points 95. 2014-15, 130, drew 4, lost none, goals for 134, goals against 13, points 94. So in total, 61 games won, 6 drawn, 1 lost, 257 goals, 29 against, 189 points. That's incredible.
Yeah, I don't think like in recent years, like our teams, I don't think anyone's come close. No one's come close to that, at all. There's not been.
That wasn't down to me. That was down to the players.
Mm.
I didn't have to motivate them or anything like that. Our job, myself, Stuart Golobex, Alan Duff. Alan Duff was a really good striker in the Highland League.
Yeah.
So him working strikers or wide players or forward players at training, brilliant. Stuart Golobeck was one of the best defenders that the Highland League has ever seen. He played for Cali Thistle. I played midfield. So we had a great balance. But when we went to training and we had the different sections, I knew there was getting quality work getting done.
Yeah.
So when it come to a Saturday, the 3 of us could just sit back, put our feet up and just watch them go and play. There wouldn't be many instructions from us.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to get on to them about challenges or pulling into tackles or doing this or do that. They knew because you had great experience in Richie Hart in the middle of the park, Steve Mackay up front, Ross Tokley, Grant Monroe, Gavin Morrison, all played professional football with Cali Thistle. Great professionals. He didn't have to do much.
Yeah. So in terms of you, obviously you won 2 North of Scotland Cups as well. How great was that as well for yourself and the team?
I'm going to say it's not the icing on the cake. It was a great feeling to have because you want to be the cock of the north, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You want to say to your Nairns and Wicks and Clark and the Cuddens and Rothers, Lossy, Forest, we're the best up here.
Yeah.
And to be the best of the north, you had to win the North of Scotland Cup.
Aye.
The League Cup, obviously, you can win that within 3-4 games.
Aye, yeah.
It's the same in the North of Scotland Cup. The League Cup is a wee bit harder, don't get me wrong. But the North of Scotland Cup, just for the area you're in, to say we're the best, that was the North of Scotland Cup.
Yeah. Any kind of memories for those games?
I think it was the first one against Nairn. I think they were a bit flabbergasted in what happened, And it's just, it's not personal or anything like that, but we knew that we were going to win the game. And I think we scored 2 goals in the first 20 minutes and sort of cruised the game.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that we started to then take the mince at them or take the mick out of them, but it was just one of the ones where the boys just really enjoyed themselves. It was a nice spring day. In that time, I think we were nearly winning the league. I think we won the league by 20 points. We won the league very early. I think we'd actually played the game before we won the league. But the players knew we were on the right trajectory and they just went and enjoyed themselves.
Yeah. So in terms of, obviously you got to the second time you won the league, you got to go in with the playoffs. How was that experience? Because it was obviously like something new for the Highland League title winners to be involved in that.
In their games, this was before the Lowland League started to come in. We played Edinburgh City, and Edinburgh City we had a good side, but lucky enough we went down there, we beat them down there, and then they got a man sent off up at our place, and we sort of huffed and puffed at home, but we went through. But it's all geared up for the team that's coming down from the professional league. It's all in their favour. So we beat them, Montrose 1-0 at home. Went down there. And because it was, at that time, we had a few missing who had family holidays and weddings, and we couldn't stop them doing that because that's their life. This is only part-time football. And we went into the game, I think we started with 3 under-18s in the pitch.
Yeah.
And they scored first, 1-0. They equalised in the first half. Colin McLean, who was one of the under-18s, scored just after half-time, put us 2-1 back up. And then Big Marvin Andrews popped up with a header, 15 minutes to go, 2 each. Then Gary Woods scores with a goal that he will never score again in his life, right in the top corner for about 30 yards. And that puts them through and keeps them up in us time.
Yeah, what was it like? I've spoke to quite a lot of Brora players who were in that team, and there was the whole people used to always say, "Oh, Brora didn't want to go up." It's kind of how did you feel about that, or were you just focused on just the game and just trying to get up?
Every player that I know of gave their all that day. We wanted to win that game.
Yeah.
The thing was, even though you won that game and then get promoted, the club could still pull out.
Aye.
If they weren't ready or they
Yeah.
weren't licensed. But if you ask any player, they wanted to win that game. You ask any directors, they wanted to win that game. Ben Mackay does not like losing.
Yeah.
John Young does not like losing. So it was a myth that saying they don't want to go up, but they had a choice. If they'd won the game, if they weren't ready, they could stay down. Montrose would stay up. That was all. That was already there. We, as players in the club, we gave 100%. We wanted to be up.
Yeah. So what was it like working under Ben Mackay? How did you find that?
Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah.
Honestly, Billy Wiz. You will never meet a guy that wants to win so much. It's unbelievable. His temperament, his crazy phone calls at 4 o'clock in the morning when he's walking his dog on the beach, because he's a businessman. Ben hardly ever sleeps. Ben would phone you for wherever he was in the world.
Yeah.
3 or 4 in the morning. Ben, come on. What about this? What about this player? What can we do about that? What do you need? And you're like, that, Ben, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Once I wake up, we'll talk to you. But then I'll be asleep. So let's just talk. Ben was a driving force. And Brora nowadays would be nowhere without Ben. And the crew behind him, you've got Alan McKenzie, you've got John Young, you've got other people behind the scenes nowadays, but they're still so focused on what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
They've got the license now to go up. But again, it's all started up for the teams coming down, because now you've got to win the league, then play the Northern League, and then play the league team.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an extra 4 games, you know what I mean? At the end of the season where you're tired, everything else, and you've got to travel, that's high stakes. But then you've got once you do get up, it's a higher running cost, but there is more money available in the league.
Aye, yeah.
So it sort of balances itself out. You're not going to lose money. It balances out. So it's great for the Highland League. I think the standard of playing in the Highland League is starting to go up.
Yeah, you see, I mean, you see a lot of teams investing more. Like even your Strathspey, I know Strathspey is quite far down, but even they are fairly invested now. What they used to, and even your other teams look how well Clark's doing, and it's good to see. So
Clark are doing brilliant because they've got a great setup. They've got a really good youth setup, and they promote the players up from there. And they've done a great job. Brora used to have the young players there, but because of the location, which is an hour and a bit away from Inverness, it was very difficult as time went on to produce the same sort of players. Because as I went back there and talked about Ben Bruce, and Colin came from Orkney.
Yeah.
Ben Bruce was a west side of Scotland. James Ross was a local. Harry was like Tame.
It's been difficult
because of the era they play in. You know, it's with Clark are city centred, and they're central to all the other games.
Yeah.
And they've got a massive reach in Inverness, and they can work hand in hand, even with Cali Thistle. You know.
Yeah. So in terms of when you're managing Brora, was there any kind of players that you really wanted to sign that you didn't manage to, or any kind of names that you tried to sign during your spell?
I'll tell you a story, but I won't name the player.
Aye.
Myself and Ben went to the King's Mill to sign this player, and he was just coming. And I'll tell you the club he was coming from. He was coming from Cali Thistle, and he was a striker. But I still won't name him. And we were sitting there, and it's 5 minutes after the meeting time. And I turned to Ben, I says, Ben, if this was such a good move for him, why is he late for this meeting? I said, I hate players that are late. I said, that tells me they're indisciplined. It tells you a lot of things about a player. And he looked at me and he said, oh, you're right. I said, in your business, you wouldn't be waiting for any of your business partners to walk in late. You want them to be early. He says, you're right. He says, let's go. And we just walked out. And it would have been the biggest steal ever in the century, but the attitude of the player just turned us right off.
Yeah.
And never signed him. And I don't regret it. Any player that I did regret signing? No.
Yeah. But in terms of, is there been any like good players that you've missed out on? Maybe they've went to another club, or?
I think the only one that we really went after, he signed for Bucky, was Kevin. Oh, what's his name? He's captain of Bucky.
Kevin Fraser.
Kevin Fraser.
Yeah, is that, yeah.
But then he decided to go to Australia or America for a few months. But when he came back to sign for Bucky, that we wanted him to sign before he went away to Australia. But we lost it in that, but we really wanted to have Kevin Fraser. But that led us to go and get Gavin Morrison.
Aye.
So it wasn't a downside.
Obviously, you ended up leaving Brora. How did you find that? You know.
Again, it's just like when I've stopped now. I'd been in the game so long and never really had a break, and they got so close in the playoffs. I'm just thinking to myself, this needs another direction. And then they brought in Richie Britton, which was my recommendation anyway.
Yeah.
Richie was wanting to coach. I had Stuart Kettlewell already in the team. but he wanted to go. He was actually the under-18 coach at Ross County at the time, and knew they were going to. I knew that they wanted to go in a different direction, and I just thought to myself, I don't need this anymore. And I was glad of the break. I was glad of the break. And then obviously Richard came in, won the League Cup, but couldn't win the league. But he went back to full-time football as coach at Ross County. But again, when he went back as the king, I'd left the game. I went back to Ross County. So he became the under-18s coach and first-team coach and helped into Saturday. I became head of youth. So it was one of the ones where the club tried to go in a different direction. Obviously, Ross took over in time. Grant Monroe took over in time. Then I think it was Stephen Mackay.
Yeah.
And then Ben asked me to come back with Craig Campbell just to help him out. And myself and Stuart Golobeck came back and helped out. And then obviously Alan McDonald got the job. And Ben wanted me to be director of football and just help with signings and what have you. But Ben really wanted me to put my hand in and coach. But we had Ali as manager and a very good coach. Josh Meekins, a very good coach and player. Joe Mallon, a very good goalkeeper and coach. So why did they want me to coach?
Aye.
I'd be there to help them and give them advice. But I think he wanted me to see me more on the pitch, and I'm like, no, it's not my job, it's their job. This is where they want to learn. I'll back them up. I'll go and help sign the players. I'll go and watch players.
Aye.
So that's what I did do. And then the second season, the club really needed to go in a different direction. Ali moved on. I moved on. Josh, Joe. So Mark McLean left, retired. Paul Brindle, Dale Gillespie. It was just a turning over and just restarting Brora with younger legs.
Aye.
So Steve Mackay took over and he's done a good job so far.
Yeah. Do you see Brora getting promoted in the future? Yeah.
Again, the stumbling block is the Lowland League, because they've got a strong advantage where they're picking up players that are coming out the senior game from the Central Belt.
Aye.
We're picking up players that are coming out from other Highland League clubs, or maybe now and again from Ross County, but they'd be young players, or Inverness Cali, young players. You're not picking up a Richie Hart anymore. You're not picking up a Grant Monroe anymore. You're not picking up a Ross Tokely anymore.
Aye.
But down in the Central Belt, they are.
Aye.
In the Lowland League, and that's totally different. And you've seen that in the last 2 or 3 years where clubs have went down there, especially Bucky, and get hammered. Brora did the Celtic Hearts and got stuffed. So it's difficult. It's very difficult. And it is loaded up for the Lowland League. And that's when you see Burn and Rig Rose, 2 years old, getting up and got relegated. Who else? Edinburgh City have established themselves. Try to think who else has done that. Celtic Hearts. It's been a great season. This Strathspey beating Bucky. So you see, Rovers are having a bad season. Yeah. But one club, but that used to be like a Fort William. You always had one club that did that. But it's one of the ones where I can still see Rovers getting stronger because of where they are and what they can take players from Aberdeen or Inverness, because they're right in the middle. So they could change that. And when they did invest, when it was Ross Jack and what have you, they did compete. So it doesn't take much to go and do that. It just takes a wee bit of investment and a wee bit of procurement of players and the choice of players. But that's the easy side of doing it. But it's just getting them together and getting that result. As you say, Strathspey have done it. You look at Strathspey and you've got Danny Gillen, who was second choice at Brora. Zach McPhee came from, originally was Ross County, went to Clark, then to Strathspey. Jamie Calder was at Clark, used to be at Ross County. Jamie Williamson's on loan from Ross County.
Yeah.
Andrew McLeod is on loan for Ross County. Callum Brown. I think he's on loan.
Yeah.
So there's a good core of young players. Alistair Morrison, again, Ross County. They're young players trying to get a way in the game, a stepping stone for them. So they are creative, they're hard working, and they've got a point to prove. And that's how Strathspey have started to up their game a wee bit.
Do you get to? Have you been to? You said you went to a Clark game in pre-season.
Yeah.
Have you been to much games this
No,
season, or no, not at all?
no, I try and keep myself away from it
Yeah,
because I do like going to watch games, but I like to watch them in peace. And I was at the Clark game, and for 75 minutes, everybody was wanting to talk to me because they hadn't seen me for a while or blah, blah, blah. Jump ex-players, ex-board members, because it's a pre-season game, everybody was at Clark because it was Ross County. I was talking to Stephen Ferguson, I was talking to Roy McGregor, and for 25% of the game that I seen, I liked what I saw at Clark. But I didn't want to go on a Saturday and just get yap. I just want to go and watch the game. It's like my local here. My local is great for the football and it's great for the rugby. But as you go in, everyone wants to talk to you about the game. Because I played rugby at school and I played football at school. But because of my career, they want to talk about football all the time. And I just want to watch the game.
So you said you don't you like having your Saturdays free. How great has that been? Just because it's quite intense even for part-time level. It must have been quite intense. It's not.
Part-time football is not part-time. If you're a coach or a manager, it's a full-time job in part-time hours because you've got you've got travel, you've got communication with physios, you've got communication with your board, you've got games to go and watch. But in part-time hours, you've got a Tuesday or Thursday, and you've got your own job on top of it.
Yeah.
That's very difficult. It's very difficult, and it's 24/7. And I don't know how managers, partners put up with it, to be honest with you, because it's hands-on. It's very, very intense. And again, if you're at a club where there's more defeats than anything else, that's extra difficult, because it's a mentality thing then. And doubts creep into your head, and you start making bad decisions. That's where you've got to sit yourself down and just how do you call it? Manage your hours.
Aye.
Manage your hours better. Cut down on certain things. You've got to, because you'll lose yourself. Absolutely lose yourself in the game.
So have you kept any of your kind of medals from your time as
I would love to show you them, but they're under lock and key for my daughter and my son.
Yeah, it's all good. So you kept them all and all
They've kept them all.
Yeah, they kept them all. Yeah,
they've got under lock and key. They've got all my jumpers, all my medals, everything. The only thing I've got upstairs was my under 21 top. We played against Yugoslavia, over in Yugoslavia. Oh my God, what a doom we got. So that was under lock and key. That's upstairs. That team then was like Prozinecki, who played for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Mihailovic played for Real Madrid. Boban, AC Milan. Who else was in that team? Davos Suker, Real Madrid. Savicevic, AC Milan. And we scored first. It was Kevin. Oh, Christ, he played for Newcastle. Kevin played for Dundee United. Kevin Gallagher.
Yeah.
Kevin Gallagher had the audacity to score for us, put us 1-0 up. And they just, Prozinecki took the centre, got on the ball, dribbled past everybody, and just rolled it in the net, one each. We were 4-1 down at half time. Honestly, they gave us an absolute doom. And that team then was me, Derek Ferguson, Kevin Gallagher, John Collins. Oh, we had a good side as well. We couldn't get anywhere near the ball. Could not get anywhere near it. And that's only the top I've kept. That's only the top I got. The rest of them are with my son and daughter.
Yeah. So apart from the scoreline, it's a good memory to say you wore a Scotland top. So that's.
Oh, God's sake. I remember when I was at Rangers, if we go back, I was captain of the Scotland under 19 youth side, and we were going to the World Club Championships, and it was in South America, and we played Canada at Motherwell as a warm-up game. And the day before we were leaving to go to the World Club Championships, I had the suit and everything for Scotland. I got pulled out, and that's when we played Dynamo Care in the European Cup. As soon as I wanted me to be on the bench and come on, and I had to withdraw for the squad, and I never got picked again until I left Rangers, because there was a sort of fallout between the SFA and Graeme Souness, because I reckon Graeme was telling his players, don't turn up for Scotland, just say you're injured. And it was a sort of a power struggle at the time. I was never selected again for my country until I left. And when I was at Hearts, I represented the under-21s. That's how crazy it was back then.
So what, I mean, I was commenting on one of the Brora pages on Facebook that I was having you on, and there was a lot of kind of nice comments and stuff about, the memories over the course of, the time you were there. How great was kind of those years, at Brora?
Coaching-wise was probably the best time of my life.
Yep.
Because obviously Ben had your back and everything else. It was the players that made it so enjoyable, and the fans were part of the family. They travelled in the bus. Every away game, the players met up with the fans, had a beer with them, and it was a massive family, and it was something that Brora hadn't seen before, and anything like that. But success brings up, when you see a successful team, more people coming involved. And my biggest fan out there is one of my best pals, Callum Duff. Callum is into shinty. He's a Rangers man, but he's a total Brora man. But he's also a singer. He's away with my friends are away to Tenerife on Friday, tomorrow night, and Callum's meeting them over in Tenerife on Monday, and it's just Callum just galvanises I think for a time he was a fan coordinator, and he arranged all the buses and what have you. That's the sort of people that Brora had. Ben's brother, he did exactly the same. James Ross's dad did exactly the same. And these guys made it easier for the players. Anything the players wanted, they sorted it. And there was no frills, no news. Nothing was too big for them. And they'd help it in any way they can. And the best thing that's happened to Brora, and they've invested in it, is their pitch. The pitch we played to, it made us more direct, because when it came to the winter months, you couldn't really play the football we wanted to play. But they've got a pitch now that's all year round. It's like a bowling green. So that's helping them. And they're going to get the benefits of that. But it takes a lot of money. Hundreds of thousands of pounds. And behind that is Ben Mackay. You don't get much of that in the Highland League.
Thanks again for listening to this podcast for Davie. It was great to have him, a really nice and chatty guy, and hope you can join me next time for another interesting interview.